Something that I thought would be really handy for my Sidewinder X1 3D printer is a filament cleaner, so that I could ensure that any filament being fed to the machine would be clean and free from any dust or residue. So I came across this particular model on Thingiverse, and here it is. And one of the things I was really impressed, or surprised I suppose, was that it was all in one piece. Now, bearing in mind this has a hinge, I was thinking, how could it all be in one piece if it has a hinge? And it's very, very interesting, because you can see from this model, and you can see if I go into preview and then X-ray view, is that you've actually got the hollow that the hinge pin is going into is actually going to be printed as part of the model. And I suppose it's quite difficult to get your head around this at first, because as it's printing the model, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be printing layer upon layer upon layer. So then it starts to print the base of the hollow, but whilst it's also printing the base of the hollow, it's also starting to print the pin that goes into the hollow. So because it's actually printing this layer upon layer upon layer, it can print a hinge, which is amazing, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this comes out. So here we are monitoring the time-lapse with Octoprint on Octopi, and we can't get too close initially, but what I've done is taken a couple of pictures, and we can see that it's starting to print the base of the hinge, and then it continues printing, and then as it's printing the hinge itself, we can see how the hinge is actually taking shape, which is really interesting to see. And here we have the 3D printed filament cleaner housing printed. So all in all, the print is very good. There are some leftover or residue filament just from a previous print that must have been in the nozzle or on the head, but I mean, that's okay. You know, it's kind of easily resolvable just by pulling those bits off. Yeah, it's amazing, the detail, the end result. It's very, very good. Now, obviously, one of the things that I was really interested in is how the printer can print a hinge. So it's amazing how, as it's printing the layers, what you've got is the layers taking into account the hinge. So you've got the hinge insert here, or here, and then you've got the bit with the insert goes into here. So it's printing effectively around the areas of the hinge. Now, one thing I haven't tried doing yet is actually making it work. So for the first time, I'm just going to try and bend this slightly. So there's a little bit of give there. So it's kind of flexing. Ah, there you go. I think it was just where the heat had probably just made it stick a little. There's the hinge working. So that's absolutely amazing that it can print a hinge as it's printing. And there we can also see the clip, the clasp or the clip going into place. And there we have it. So that's proof that that works. That's very impressive. So the next thing we need to do is to use the sponge to actually populate the filament holder. So I'm just going to so there we go, bit cut there. So I wasn't sure whether to use scissors or a knife. So then what I'll do is I'll just use scissors to get the final size. So there we go. So by using that sponge, we've got enough for this particular project, plus a spare in case we need it or when we need it. And there we go. So every time I load the filament now, I will feed the filament through here, close it together, and then this will act as a filament cleaner so that no dirt or residue gets into the print head whilst printing. A fantastic little gadget. And it's just a really good example of the kind of quality print and the quality device or functional device that you can use the 3D printer for. So really amazing. I look forward to doing more of these projects. Thank you for watching.